The desert wind howled over the metal junk piles of Outpost Z9, a forgotten place on the edge of the galaxy. Sand flew in the air like broken glass, stinging every eye that dared to look up. The sun above was harsh, a burning white ball in the sky that gave no mercy. Kane Walker stepped off his ship, pulling his jacket tight. He was human, tall, broad-shouldered, with a tired face and eyes that had seen too many battles. He wasn't here to make friends. He was here for fuel, food, and silence, but he found something else. As Kane walked past a broken cargo hauler, something small moved in the dust. He stopped. Behind an old metal crate sat a boy, thin, pale, and shaking. His skin was smooth and bluish, his eyes large and glowing softly. Not human. An alien child. His clothes were torn. His feet were bare. He looked like he hadn't eaten in days. Kane frowned. "Hey, you okay, kid?" The boy didn't answer at first. He just kept his eyes down, hugging his knees. Then, slowly, he raised his head. "My mom," he whispered. "She's gone." Kane knelt beside him. "Gone? Where?" The boy looked up, his lips trembling. "They took her. They took her in a ship," she screamed. "They put her in chains. I ran, I hid, but they took her away." Kane's eyes narrowed. "Who took her?" The boy pulled something from around his neck, a dirty, cracked data chip. He held it out with shaking hands. Kane took it and placed it into his wrist scanner. A shaky, low-quality video played. On the screen, a tall alien woman cried as she was dragged away by armored men, her voice breaking as she shouted in a strange tongue. The Vorn Syndicate crest glowed on the soldiers' chest armor. Kane cursed under his breath. The Vorn Syndicate. Slave traffickers, murderers, and untouchable in these parts. "I tried to chase them," the boy whispered. "I ran after the ship, but they didn't stop. I lost her." His voice cracked. "Please, help me. You're strong. You have a ship. Please, human, save her." Kane looked around. A few traders stood at a distance, watching, shaking their heads. One of them, a short reptilian merchant, walked closer and spat on the ground. "Don't waste your time," he growled. "The boy's lying. He's trash. No one helps people like him out here, especially not against the Vorn." Kane stood up slowly, glaring at the merchant. "You know who took her?" The merchant laughed nervously. "Everyone knows. But no one does anything. Go after the Vorn and you end up in chains yourself, or worse." The boy buried his face in his knees. Kane looked at him, then at the chip, and back to the sky where the Vorn ship must have disappeared. He hated this. He hated getting involved. Something about the boy's eyes. The same fear Kane once saw in refugees during the last war gripped his heart. And the woman's voice in the video sounded like someone who still believed someone might come for her. Kane bent down again. "What's your name?" The boy sniffed. "Tyron," Kane said, standing tall. "I'm not good at ignoring things, and I hate slavers." Tyron looked up, hope flickering in his eyes for the first time. "You have a ship?" he asked quietly. Kane gave a small nod. "I do." "And we're going to find your mom?" And nearby traders and scavengers laughed. "You'll die, human," someone shouted. Kane turned to them and smiled coldly. "Only if they're lucky." He held out his hand. Tyron grabbed it with both of his. Kane helped him to his feet, then walked back toward his ship. A rough, patched-together vessel called the Starhound. Old but fast, and deadly inside. Kane plugged the chip into the ship's main system. The AI started scanning the Vorn symbol for any tracking logs, slave transport records, or broadcast signals. As the engines roared to life, Tyron sat quietly in the corner, clutching a piece of cloth from his mother's clothes. Kane looked at him. "We'll find her. But it won't be easy. The Vorn don't give up their property." Tyron didn't blink. "She's not property. She's my mom." Kane nodded. "Then let's go remind them." And with that, the ship lifted into the sky, leaving behind the dust, the heat, and the silence of those who refused to help. But this time, someone was coming. Someone human. Asterisk, the stars stretched out like cold fire across the void as the Starhound entered restricted space. The human pilot, Kane, sat in the cockpit with sharp eyes, fingers tapping the navigation panel. Tyran, the young alien boy, watched silently from behind, curled in a blanket with wide, glowing eyes. Ahead of them lay a dark, endless part of the galaxy known as the Black Zone, a lawless region controlled by the Vorn Syndicate. No patrols, no help. Only predators and ghosts. Kane tightened his grip on the controls. "We crossed the line here, Tyran. There's no turning back after this." Tyran nodded slowly. "Then don't turn back." Kane smirked. Brave kid. But even brave kids didn't belong in places like this. As the ship neared the edge of the zone, a warning light blinked red. Motion detected. A Vorn checkpoint gate floated ahead, cloaked in shadow. Massive chains of metal arms surrounded it like a trap. 4 guard drones hovered around it, silent silver machines with glowing red eyes and rotating cannons. "No ship passes without permission," Kane muttered. He tapped the console. The ship's ID changed, forged credentials, stolen from a smuggler Kane once arrested. The screen now displayed Trader-class vessel salvage route Alpha 3. Clearance code, BR-NZX-117. He pressed send. The com buzzed to life. A robotic voice answered. "Known vessel. Your code is expired. State your purpose or be destroyed." Kane didn't hesitate. Trader vessel en route to a salvage depot, carrying scrap parts and orphan salvage. There was a pause. The red lights on the drones blinked faster. Tyran whispered, "Orphan salvage." Kane whispered back, "That's you." Another voice broke in, this one organic, deep, harsh, and amused. "Trader, send visuals of your cargo." Now, Kane flicked a switch. A camera showed the inside of the ship's cargo bay, mostly junk parts, fuel canisters, and Tyran sitting among them, pretending to shiver and cough like a weak child. There was silence. Then proceed. "Don't drift. Don't stop. And don't lie again." Gate open, metal arms pulling back with a low groan. Kane let out a slow breath as they passed through. They were in. But danger didn't wait for invitations in the Black Zone. A few hours in, the Starhound passed by a broken wreck of a medical ship. It floated, cracked open, lights blinking faintly, a warning to anyone with eyes. "Slavers," Kane muttered. "Or pirates." Tyran stared. Why did they do this to people? Kane stayed quiet. He'd asked the same question once. Never. Got a good answer? They continued deeper into the zone. Strange signals bounced off the scanner's whispers, scrambled cries, broken transmissions, all ignored by passing ships. Then a new signal blinked onto the screen. SLVT-9, prison cargo. Transfer route. Last seen, Cragmore sector. Kane froze. Tyran leaned forward. "What is that?" "Transport log," Kane said. "Same type of ship that took your mother." He tapped the file. The system highlighted an old Vorn route, leading directly to a prison world, Cragmore 7, Kane. Set course, but just as he activated the drive, the ship jolted violently. Something grabbed them. Tractor beam. Kane barked, slamming buttons. Outside, a massive Vorn vessel loomed, cloaked until now. Its hull was covered in scars and burn marks, its front cannons still hot from recent fire. A voice echoed through the ship. "You've entered private space. Prepared to be boarded." Kane cursed and flipped a red switch under the console. Tyran blinked. "What is that?" "Emergency cloak," Kane said, as the ship flickered, then vanished. The tractor beam strained and failed. Like a stone, vanishing from enemy sight, Kane rolled the ship through a debris field, slipping between old satellite wrecks and broken warheads. Behind them, the enemy ship fired blindly. Kane swerved, dodging lasers, pieces of shattered hulls crashing all around them. Suddenly, a voice spoke from the back of the ship. The AI system had completed decoding the data chip, Tyran's mother. Left behind, file found. Voice message, subject, Mela. Language, Mixed Vorn and Galcamon. Kane hit play. Tyran and Kane both listened. as a broken, tired voice whispered through the ship. "If you hear this, please save my son. Don't come for me, they'll kill you. Just keep him safe." Tyron trembled. No, she didn't. Mean that she's only saying that because they heard her. Kane didn't answer. He looked at Tyron in the rear monitor. "I'm not just keeping you safe," he said quietly. "We're bringing her back." Tyron's voice was small. "Even if it means going to Cragmore." Kane's grip tightened. "Especially that." He set the coordinates. The ship's engines roared as they disappeared deeper into Syndicate space. And, somewhere far ahead in a cell on Cragmore 7, a mother still waited, still whispered into the dark. Deep within the blackened towers of Cragmore 7, under miles of stone and steel, the prisoners didn't scream anymore. They had learned silence. Pain was daily. Hope was punished. Mela, the alien mother, sat in the dark, shackled to the floor. Her wrists were raw, her back scarred from the whip of the Vorn guards, but her eyes still searched the skies she could no longer see. She whispered every night, even if no one listened, even if her lips bled. "Tyron, my star, ... please. Stay alive." A small tracking bug was hidden beneath her collarbone, not for escape, but for her last hope. She had fed it old access codes using the rhythmic beats of her own heartbeat. It was all she had left, a weak signal, pulsing out into the galaxy like a dying heartbeat above. In orbit, the Starhound caught that signal. Tyron was asleep, curled up with a blanket, holding a faded holomage of his mother, her arms wrapped around him, her smile bright. Kane sat in the cockpit, staring at the transmission blinking on the screen. "It's her," he muttered. The AI responded softly, signal confirmed. Cragmore 7, sublevel 14. Life signs, weak but present. Kane clenched his jaw. "She's still alive?" He didn't wait. He shook Tyron gently. "Wake up, kid." Tyron blinked awake. "Did we find her?" Kane nodded. "She's sending a message. She's still fighting." Tyron sat up, his eyes full of light again. "Then we go now?" Kane stood. "Not just yet. Cragmore 7 is a fortress. Getting in isn't the problem. Getting out is." They landed far from the main entrance, in a field of jagged rocks that rose like broken teeth. Kane pulled a crate from storage. Inside were 2 suits, one guard uniform, and one maintenance tech disguise. "Put this on," Kane said. "You'll pretend to be my assistant. Just follow my lead." Tyron nodded, slipping into the dusty clothes. The two approached the prison gates. Massive metal walls towered before them. Guards with heavy weapons scanned every entrance. Drones buzzed in the air like angry insects. Kane flashed forged papers. "Inspection team from Central Command. Bioscanner maintenance."
Obvious.
The guard looked. "Bored? Another one? The last guy never came out?" Kane smiled slightly. "That's why we're here." They were let through. The gates clanked shut behind them. Inside, the prison smelled of oil, sweat, and despair. Tyron clutched Kane's sleeve tightly. "How will we find her?" Kane tapped a hidden chip in his boot, already tracking her signal. "She's in cell block 14. They moved through the prison like ghosts, past silent prisoners with empty eyes, past broken machines, past signs that read, "Property, not people." Kane's tracker buzzed. "This is it." They entered a lower level where the halls grew tighter, darker. A guard patrolled ahead. Kane motioned for Tyron to stay back. He moved silently, and in a blink, the guard was down. Kane used the keycard to unlock a heavy cell door. There, lying against the wall, was Mela.Tyre and gasped, "Mom." She opened her eyes slowly, as if dreaming. Her voice was hoarse. "Tyron." He ran to her, dropping beside her, tears spilling down his cheeks. "I found you. I found you, Mom." She reached for him with trembling arms. "You shouldn't have come. They'll kill you." Kane spoke firmly. "No one's dying today." Pulled out a stim pack and injected her arm. "This will help. Just enough to walk." But then the alarm blared. Intruder detected. Cell. Block 14. Locked down in 90 seconds. Kane swore. They found the body. He picked Mela up. Tyrion, run. They dashed through the corridors. Lights turned red. Guards poured in from above. Kane turned a corner, only to find a Vorn captain blocking the way. Plasma rifle raised. You, human. Kane's jaw tightened. You should have stayed out of this, the captain sneered. You think you're saving a life? She's merchandise. Kane didn't reply. He just raised his left hand and snapped his fingers. From behind the wall, Minibot rolled out and exploded in the captain's face. Kane kicked the door open and ran through fire. And smoke, outside, the stolen Vorn transport was waiting. Kane had hacked it hours ago. He threw Mela inside. Tyron jumped in after her. Get us out, Tyron shouted. Kane slammed the controls. The ship lifted into the sky, prison guards firing after them. But as they soared upward, another ship, uncloaked. A Vorn warship, bigger, armed, and waiting. It's come crackled to life. You won't leave human. Not with our property. Kane stared into the stars. Then come take her. Asterisk, the stolen Vorn transport jolted hard as Kane pulled it into a sharp climb. It's barely missing a streak of plasma that tore through the clouds. Straps. On now, Kane shouted. Tyren and Mela held each other tightly in the back. Mela's body weak, her eyes half closed. Kane flew with one hand on the control stick and the other over the weapon panel. On the screen ahead, a massive warship blocked the stars, a dark, spiked shadow, its cannons turning toward them. Vorn Dread class, Kane muttered, fast, heavy, and angry. The warship's come opened again. Return the cargo and your death will be clean. Kane smiled without humor. Yeah, here's my answer. He slammed a button on the console. The ship dropped like a dead stone, engines cutting off, free-falling toward the prison planet below. Lasers shot where they were not where they were going. The human ship vanished beneath the clouds. Tyrion screamed. We're falling! It's not for long, Kane growled. Just as the ground rushed up to meet them, Kane reignited the thrusters. Fire exploded from the engines, and the ship shot sideways like a dart. He flew low, hugging the mountains and frozen canyons, dodging between rocks and scanning for cover. Behind them, the Vorn dreadnought gave chase, slower but steady. More ships launched from it, smaller and faster, moving like sharks through the air. 4 interceptors incoming, the AI warned. Kane didn't blink. Then we show them what human tech can do. He flipped a switch. The rear of the ship opened, and a custom pulse mine dropped out, bouncing once on the icy ground and then exploding into a blinding pulse. 2 of the interceptors spiraled out of control, crashing into the cliffs. The other 2 locked onto the ship's heat. Target locked, one drone hissed. Tyrion clung to his mother, shouting, we won't make it. But Kane leaned in. Watch this. Yeah. He flew straight into a narrow crevice, barely wide enough for the ship to fit. The metal screamed as the wings scraped both sides, sparks flying everywhere. The chasing ships hesitated. One tried to follow and exploded halfway in, the other pulled back. Inside, Mela groaned, barely conscious. Kane passed Tyrion a medkit, pushed the blue injector into her neck. Now. Tyron did it with shaking hands. Her body flinched, then her breathing steadied. She's alive, he whispered. Kane turned the ship toward a small cave, one he had marked years ago during a smuggling run. Hidden, shielded. Perfect. They landed rough, skidding across the ice. Out, both of you, Kane ordered. They ran into the cave as Kane grabbed a portable cloak shield. He activated it just in time. The ship and entrance vanished from sensors above. The dreadnought scanned, searching, but found nothing. For now, inside the cave, a fire flickered. Kane had started it using emergency gel packs. Lale wrapped in thermal blankets, her skin pale, her breath soft. Tyrion sat beside her, watching every small rise and fall of her chest like it might stop at any moment. She's going to make it, Kane said. Tyrion looked up. Why are you doing this? Kane didn't answer right away. He stared into the fire, eyes distant, because someone once saved me when I was small, when everyone else looked away. He paused, then added, and because no one owns another person, not in my universe. Tyrion nodded slowly. Suddenly, Mela stirred, her eyes opened halfway, locking onto Cain. You are human, he nodded. The one who broke your chains. Tears slipped down her face. You saved my son. I owe you everything. You don't owe me anything, Cain said. But if you want to repay me, live. But rest couldn't last. The AI buzzed in Cain's Earvorn ship, still scanning. Estimated time until reinforcements, 20 minutes. Cain stood. We can't wait. Time to move. He walked to the ship and returned with a black case. He opened it. Inside was a sleek, advanced weapon, Earth-made, illegal in most systems. Tyrion stared. What is that? Cain looked at him. It's called the Thundermark. One blast disables anything up to a cruiser. I built it to level cities. Tyrion blinked. You going to use it? Cain looked up at the stars. If it keeps your mom safe, I'll burn the skies if I have to. Back inside the ship, Cain hooked the Thundermark to the ship's main core. Power levels rising, the AI said. Mela weakly asked, What are you doing? Ending this, Cain replied. He sent a false signal into space. A fake emergency. Ping from a damaged ship. It's just enough to lure the dreadnought lower. It worked. The massive warship descended, scanning the ice for survivors, and then Cain fired. A beam of white fire shot from the hidden ship, a direct hit to the warship's belly. Shields collapsed. Fire spread. The sky exploded. Tyrion watched, eyes wide. You did it? Cain didn't smile. Not yet, because the firestorm had awakened something worse. A signal beacon from the Vorn flagship, back in the Black Zone. Other Vorn fleets began to move, and they all had one target, the human who dared to steal from them. The explosions still echoed in the skies of Cragmore 7. Smoke rolled across the ice like storm clouds, swallowing what was left of the Vorn dreadnought. Cain stood at the edge of the cliff, watching it burn. His face was lit by the firelight, but his eyes were cold. He hadn't moved since he fired the Thundermark. He knew what was coming next. Inside the cave, Tyrion helped his mother sip from a nutrient tube. Her strength was slowly returning, but her hands still shook, her skin pale and bruised. You're safe now, Mom, Tyrion whispered. She looked at him, then toward the entrance where Cain stood like a statue. That man, he carries ghosts. Tyrion frowned. What do you mean? Mala's voice was low. He moves like someone who never expected to survive. An hour later, the skies cracked with a sound no one wanted to hear. The hum of a battle fleet. Cain turned to the cave entrance. Just as dozens of red streaks shot down from orbit, ships, fast, armed, and hunting. The Vorn had responded, and they didn't come quietly. The AI's voice came through his ear implant. 4 Vorn assault carriers, 2 interceptor wings, 1 command vessel. Tyrion ran to him. Can we fight them? Cain shook his head. Not this time. This is a full execution squad. They're not after Mela anymore. He looked at the smoke above. They're after me. Cain moved fast. He handed Mela a portable cloak emitter. You stay hidden if I don't come back. No, Mela said, struggling to sit up. You saved us. We don't leave you behind. Cain looked at her for a moment, then crouched down. This isn't about kindness anymore. The Vorn don't forget. If I lead them away, you and your son have a chance. Tyrion grabbed his arm. But I need you too. Cain smiled slightly. You needed someone to care. You've got that now. Your mother is safe. That was the deal. Tyrion's eyes welled up, but he nodded. Cain stood and tapped his wrist. A small drone zipped out and activated a projection on the wall, a map of the Black Zone. There's a place called Refraction Rift. It's a gravity storm. Nothing can follow you in, and scanners don't work inside. I have an old contact there. Go there. Wait for me. Mela touched his arm. And if you don't come, then you keep going. Kane left before they could say goodbye again. His plan was simple. Draw the fleet away. Give the Vorn something to chase. But the Vorn weren't just angry, they were insulted. Human had destroyed a warship. A human had touched what they claimed to own, and in Vorn culture, that meant only one thing: blood price. Above Cragmore. The command vessel locked onto the Starhound as it soared out of hiding. Target confirmed. The Vorn captain growled. Send message to the Council. The human has broken Article 13. Slavery, interference. Class 1, violation. His second-in-command asked, execution order. The captain grinned. No, bring him alive. Let the slaves see what happens too. Their hero, Kane's ship, flew like fire. He weaved between mountains, dropped fake heat signatures, and launched holographic decoys. The Vorn followed in full force. Inside, the ship's systems were stretched thin, shields down to 40%. Weapons recharging. Kane reached for a hidden switch on the dashboard, one labeled only Scorch. He hesitated. Using it meant burning everything behind him, even the ground itself. But then he thought of Turned, and of Mala's eyes. The ones that had forgotten how to hope until yesterday. He flipped the switch. Behind him, the sky turned white. A chain of mines erupted from the ice, cutting the path in two. Vorn interceptors flew straight into the blast, torn apart mid-air. But the command ship kept chasing inside. The Vorn captain watched Kane's path. He flies like he's been hunted before. The comm officer looked up. Sir, incoming message. From the human ship, the captain raised a brow. Play it. Kane's voice crackled through. You want me? Come and bleed for it. Inside the ship, Kane redirected. Course not toward Refraction Rift, but toward an abandoned mining moon. It was dead, full of magnetic storms and broken metal towers. Perfect. He landed between two cracked reactor silos, powered down everything. Disappeared from scanners. Then he waited. He wanted them to come, not because he thought he could win, but because he had one more message to send, one more statement that no human, no matter how alone, would ever bow to chains. Back in the cave, Mela and Tyran reached the coordinates. The small shuttle from the Starhound's emergency bay carried them through the rift, the storm swirling around like black thunder. Tyran looked back at the sky, whispering, please come back. But Kane wasn't done yet. He was going to make them regret ever touching that boy's mother. He checked his rifle, his explosives, and his final override chip. When the Vorn landed, they wouldn't find a man running. They'd find a trap. Lit by fire and set by a human who had nothing left to lose. Asterisk, the dead mining moon floated in silence. Broken towers rising like skeletons under a storm-lit sky. Lightning crackled through purple clouds. The ground was scorched from old reactor fires, and magnetic pulses danced across the rocks like ghosts. Kane Walker stood at the heart of it. He wasn't hiding. He wasn't running. He was building something, a message. Around him he placed EMP mines, plasma tripwires, and smart charges built from old war tech. His rifle was charged, his sidearm holstered. Two combat drones hovered silently behind him, armed and waiting. He took a deep breath and stared into the dark clouds above. They'll land soon, he muttered. The wind answered with a low metallic. Above the moon, the Vorn command ship broke through the clouds like a god of war. It hovered, casting a long shadow over the ruins inside. Captain Vrall grinned. The human is here, alone. Just as we wanted. Deploy the strike team, his officer said. Vrall stood from his chair. No. I want to see him fall with my own eyes. 30 Vorn soldiers dropped from the ship, landing hard around the ruined minefield. Their armor glowed red, built for war. Each one carried a shock rifle and an obedience lash. One stepped forward. Walker of Earth, surrender now. By Vorn law, your life belongs to us. Kane stepped out from behind a broken drill. No thanks. I don't follow Vorn law. The Vorn soldiers aimed their rifles. Kane raised both hands, then snapped his fingers. Boom. The ground erupted. 3 soldiers flew into the air, armor crushed by hidden charges. A 4th stepped on a wire, his legs vanished in fire. The others shouted, ducking behind fallen towers. Kane vanished into smoke, and the hunt began. He moved fast, ducking behind twisted metal, setting new traps as he moved. The Vorn chased blindly, never expecting their enemy to fight like this. Human tactics were supposed to be outdated, full of honor and rules. But Kane fought like a ghost from old. Earth wars. Silent, precise, merciless. 1 drone zipped behind. A soldier fried his systems. Another crashed into a tower, triggering a roof collapse. 2 down. Kane whispered. He darted forward, fired a blast from his rifle. 1 more enemy down. Then overcomes a Vorn voice cursed. He's hurting us. Fall back. Too late. The center of the field erupted with a chain detonation that threw 5 soldiers into the air like rag dolls. In orbit, Captain Vral slammed his fist on the console. He's making fools of us.
Oh.
We fire from orbit? The officer asked. Vral shook his head. Not yet, I want to crush him with my boot. He pulled on his battle armor. Ready, my pod? Back on the ground, Kane was bleeding. 1 blast had caught his shoulder. His jacket was torn. His side was burned. But his eyes still burned with purpose. His scanner showed the enemy count: 10 left, then 9, then 8. But now, alert, heavy object inbound. Kane looked up. A drop-dash pod, big, loud, mean. It smashed into the ground like a meteor, and from it stepped a nightmare, Captain Vral himself, 7 feet tall, wrapped in reinforced armor, his hands carrying twin energy. Blades. Kane's voice came over the coms. You finally showed up. Was starting to think you were scared, Vral snarled. You talk big for a man about to die. I've been about to die before, Kane replied, stepping out from cover. I usually kill someone first. The 2 faced each other between the ruins. Vral charged first, blades slicing the air. Kane rolled, fired his rifle twice. The shot sparked off armor. Vral tackled him, throwing him into a wall. Kane coughed blood, pulled a knife from his boot, slashed at Vral's arm. Sparks flew, but no damage. You can't win, Vral growled. Kane spit. I don't need to win, just need you to bleed. But then, he pressed a button on his belt. From behind the wall, one of the drones buzzed to life, carrying Kane's last weapon, a micronuke. Small, silent, deadly. Vral's eyes widened. You wouldn't. Kane smiled, bloody and fierce. You kidnapped a boy's mother, brought a fleet to kill 1 man. Yeah, I would. Boom, the moon shook. Fire roared across the ruins. From far away, inside the small shuttle now hidden in the rift, Terran looked up as the star above the mining moon flickered with light. Was that? Mela touched his hand. He's buying us time. But Kane was still alive. The blast had knocked him far, buried under broken steel. He crawled out, coughing, bruised and half-dash conscious. In the smoke, he saw Vral crawling too, armor ruined. 1 blade sparking. You human, freak. Vral gasped. Kane stood, holding nothing but a broken metal pipe now. I warned you, he said. No one touches that boy's mother. And he drove the pipe through Vral's neck, ending. Kane fell to his knees. The Syndicate had lost their commander, and Kane had sent a message across the stars. The wreckage of the battle still burned on the mining moon's surface. All around, flames licked the edges of broken towers, the air thick with smoke ash, and silence. But Kane Walker didn't feel the fire anymore. He lay on his back, eyes half closed, every breath a struggle. His body was broken, ribs cracked, shoulder dislocated, blood soaking through his clothes.
Ow.
But his hand still clutched the small transmitter in his pocket.
Ow.
His thumb hovered over the one last message he needed to send. Come on.
Ow.
A little longer, he whispered. Far above, the Vorn fleet began to pull back. The command ship had gone silent, their leader dead, their mission shattered. Scanners showed their forces retreating toward neutral space. The Syndicate never expected to lose to 1 man, but they did, and now the stars would whisper his name. Deep inside, refraction rift. Tyren sat curled up inside the small hidden shuttle, the storm outside making the whole groan like a beast in pain. His mother sat beside him, wrapped in thermals. Still recovering, but stronger now, stronger than she had been in weeks. He stared at the screen, watching for any signal. Nothing, just static. He hadn't spoken for an hour. Mela touched his shoulder. "You need rest." He shook his head. "Not until I hear from him." Suddenly the screen blinked once, then twice. Then a weak signal lit up. Double quotes Kane dash, alpha dot dot. Status alive. Tyron gasped. He made it. Mala's eyes filled with tears. He kept his promise. Back on the moon, Kane dragged himself into the wreckage of his ship. The Starhound was battered, but one part still worked, the emergency pod. He activated the recall beacon. A deep hum filled the air. The pod opened. He looked around one last time, at the crater where Vral had died, at the scorched fields where he had made his stand, and he smiled. "I did it, kid. You're free." Then he collapsed into the pod, too. Weeks later, Slade on a quiet moon far from the war zones. A new life had begun. Mela and Tyrion now lived in a refugee camp built by human volunteers. A small garden grew nearby. There were children playing, people smiling, aliens and humans side by side. Peace, real peace. Mela worked in the camp clinic. Tyrion was learning Earth languages. He carried a handmade wooden star around his neck. One he carved himself. Kane wasn't there, not yet. Tyrion looked to the sky every evening, waiting, hoping. And one day, a shadow appeared. A ship descended, not the Starhound, but a new one. Sleek, fast, with the Earth Fleet symbol freshly painted on the side. The door opened, and Kane stepped out. He walked with a limp. Scars across his neck and arm, but he smiled when he saw them. Tyrion ran to him, no hesitation. Kane dropped to one knee, just in time to catch the boy in his arms. "I knew you'd come," Tyrion said, voice shaking. Kane hugged him tightly. "I told you, I don't leave people behind." Belay stood quietly, her eyes full of emotion. Kane looked up at her. "You look better. You look worse," she teased gently. Kane laughed. "Well, I don't recommend fighting a Vorn fleet alone." She stepped forward. "You're not alone anymore." Kane nodded slowly. Maybe for the first time in years, he believed that, but far away. In the deep darkness of Syndicate space, the Vorn Council met in silence. A hologram flickered in the center. Of the room, Kane Walker's face. The head speaker's voice was cold. "He has humiliated us. Broken our laws? Killed one of our own," another elder hissed. "Do we retaliate?" The speaker shook his head. "No, not yet." He leaned forward. "We learn, we adapt, and when we strike again, we do not strike at one human, we strike." At all of Earth, back in the camp, Kane sat with Tyrion under the stars. The boy rested his head on his shoulder. "Do you think they'll come back?" Tyrion asked softly. Kane looked up. "They might." Tyrion sat up. "And we'll fight together. Next time." Kane ruffled his hair. "Let's hope we don't have to." The stars shimmered above, silent witnesses to everything. And somewhere, across the void, the story of one human who stood against an empire was already being told in whispers. Not as a legend, not as a myth, but as truth. Because sometimes, all it takes is one human to change everything.